Good morning and welcome to yard updates. So what have we added and done differently? Well, first of all, the pollinator garden is blooming beautifully. Still no frogs in our frog hotels, so we might revisit how I do that. But yeah, everything's coming up. Blooming, looking good. We got our water plants, so water hyacinth and water lettuce, which I know is invasive in some areas, but here our winters kill it. Put this guy in the ground. I took him out of a pot because I felt like it literally wasn't living its best plant life. So those are elephant ears and they're supposed to be gigantic. And the banana leaf plant has some spots, but is still doing okay. And this should get really big. I had this out last year. And also sprouted a couple babies next to my zinnias. Okay, so, and the canna plants are finally starting to come up. Okay, so a couple things. First, the vegetable garden. Things are actually coming up and thinning out the carrots a little bit. That's a volunteer tomato plant, spaghetti squash. This middle section is food compost. So I just kind of go in there and bury our food scraps every week. Yeah. And then even though this is such a half-assed vegetable garden, we just kind of threw it together really quick with no real expectation that anything would grow, but things are growing. I've got some tomato plants. Also, I don't know if I mentioned that these are campaign signs, the stakes for campaign signs, so we just use those to hold up all of this metal fencing. At least one cucumber plant is coming up, but it looks like I have 2 or 3, so that's good. One big broccoli, some little broccolis coming up, some cauliflower, some Brussels sprouts. They are sprouting. Beans and peas, but don't ask me which is which because I don't know. And then some purslane, and then some random flowers that I just come in and pull out regularly because they're not allowed here. They're allowed in the yard, but not in this particular spot. Over here, our peppers are doing well, but we also have spinach coming up, and then these 2 rows are onions, and I'm not sure what's happening there, but we'll just do wait and see. And then we got some strawberry plants from Best Buds the other day, and we already had wild strawberries growing in here. I don't know which ones are the wild strawberries. I think, you know what, I think it might be, you know what, I have no idea, never mind. But there's 3 different kinds of strawberry plants here. So that's doing better than expected. Okay, and oh, I'm excited about this. This vine is cardinal flower, and it gives tiny little red flowers that the hummingbirds love. So this one's coming up, and of course it's gonna vine over where our hummingbird feeder is. And then I have another one over here that's coming up, and it will also vine around here where our hummingbird feeder is. So that's cool. These were in my basement. It's from a friend's wedding, like almost 15 years ago, and I'm gonna turn these into some sort of planters, but I don't have an idea yet. And then over here, these ladders were a display in a friend's store, and she gave them to me, and so we set them up out here and just put some of our succulents on there. And these boards are siding from our front porch that we tore out a couple years ago, and we just kept the boards, and I cut them off and used them as plant shelves. But down here we're growing loofah, and so I wanted to give it a nice like thing to vine across. So these ladders hopefully will do the trick. I've never grown loofah before, so fingers crossed. Okay, now the worst project. I don't know if you remember my rock sorting station, because I'm sorting rocks. And so now, and pardon my mess over here, but I'm also doing it back here because this section of the yard, which is gated in, my kitchen window looks back here. And so I was trying to make this look better because it was a real mess. So I did some work here, and I'm sorting all of these rocks because, you guys, there are rocks and dirt, but then underneath this landscape fabric, also more rocks and dirt. So I have to separate all of the rocks from the dirt and then make sure that the house is graded. So it has to go on a slope so that water doesn't run into the basement, it runs away from the house. So I'm making sure that as I pull all the dirt out, I'm kind of creating that slope along the house, and then redoing all of this. So this is a huge, messy project, and it's very unsightly, but we're getting there. And then this whole side of the house also has to be scraped and repainted, which is also on the list of projects this summer. But this is like a trellis that we built. This was the side of a bookshelf, and this was the side of a bookshelf, and it used to be leaning against my fence. And it was just a bookshelf that kind of fell apart. So I saved the parts, and then we put a board. We cut a board into 2 pieces and just put those across the top and the middle, and then we screwed it into the fence. We had to do it high enough so that we could pull the ladders in and out. And then we just hung plants back here. And this one got moved. It was in a different location that was too bright for it, so that's why these leaves got burnt. But they're doing good back here because we don't get as much sun. And this is when I look out my kitchen window and do dishes, I get to see these, which I love. And then we hung this one there. So just kind of fixing up this like messy corner of the yard that we didn't do a lot with for years, so that when I look out the windows, it also looks pretty. And obviously the dogs are still enjoying the outside couch. So that is the yard update, and I am going to continue to work on it, but it is giving me all the joy that I want it to so far. I hope you have a good day. I hope I have a good day. I hope we all have a good day.